So today we're making chocolate chip cornflake marshmallow cookies. So here are all my ingredients that I will need. You'll need the regular supplies for chocolate chip cookies and then cornflakes and marshmallows. So I'm going to take a smaller bowl and then a bigger bowl because you'll need to put the wet ingredients in one and then the dry ingredients in the other. First I'm going to add my flour. Then I'm going to add some salt. Oh, struggling to come out. Then I'm going to add some salt. So 2 teaspoons. Then I'll add some baking powder, half a teaspoon. As well as some baking soda, which we will also do half a teaspoon. Next, I'm going to stir those up just a little bit so we mix all the powders together. Now I'm going to set that aside and get out the bowl for my wet ingredients. First, I'm going to add sugar, so I added half a cup, and then another half, so I have 1 full cup. Okay, so I added 1 cup of brown sugar, and then 1 egg, as well as 1 stick of butter. Here I use Crisco, but you can use butter. And then 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Now I'm going to use my blender. And I just have a hand blender. If you have a stand blender, it's a little easier, but this is what I've got. So I'm going to use this and I'm going to mix my wet ingredients together. This can be kind of tricky. It takes a while and the supplies or the ingredients kind of go everywhere. So definitely start at a low setting so that your dough doesn't fly around your kitchen. I'm going to mix. So you want to mix it until you can visibly see that all the ingredients are mixed together. So you don't want to see any egg or white sugar. So that looks about good for me. I'm going to scrape the sides of the bowl so that I have all of it in the center. Now I'm going to add the ingredients together. I would actually suggest, rather than adding the wet ingredients to the dry ingredients, that you add the dry ingredients to the wet ingredients in a bigger bowl. It just makes it a little bit easier when it comes to mixing. So this is definitely a time that you want to start out on a very low setting because the flour will fly everywhere if you do not start low. So you want to mix it until there is no flour showing and until it gets all mixed up. So I found that difficult, and so I ended up using a spoon to fold the rest of it in. So now I add a cup of chocolate chips. You can add more if you like more chocolate chips, but I like just a medium amount. So I'm going to mix those in using my spatula. I find it easier to mix it ingredients like the chocolate chips and the marshmallows and the cornflakes in with a spoon rather than in the blender. That way it doesn't get all mixed up or all crushed. So I'm just gonna kind of eyeball how many marshmallows I add. It says to add a cup of marshmallows, but I like a little bit more, so I'm just gonna add a good amount. So now I'm gonna mix this because it's starting to get a little crumbly and I wanna make sure that all of the ingredients are properly blended. You don't wanna mix it too much though, because you could crush the things like the marshmallows and the chocolate chips, and you don't really want that, but it's not a problem if you do. Now I'm going to go ahead and add the cornflakes. This recipe calls for 3 cups of cornflakes, so you can always add more or less. I added a little bit less because I didn't want them to be too crunchy. So I'm going to mix the cornflakes in. You want to make sure that you're not mixing them too hard. You want to have the cornflakes a little bit larger, and you don't want to crush them up too much. So now I'm going to set my oven to 350 and let it preheat. While it's preheating, I'm going to go ahead and section off the cookies on the baking sheet. So you can always put down foil on your baking sheet and it makes it a little easier to clean. So you're going to want to make large, like golf ball sized cookies. So you're only going to really be able to add a small amount of cookies to each baking sheet. So see, I only was able to get 8 on this sheet because they will spread out a good amount when you bake them. So right now I'm putting on marshmallows on the top so they melt and give you that good marshmallowy. As you can see, my cookies kind of messed up. The marshmallows got a little brown, and so I would recommend checking on your cookies a little earlier than 5 minutes. So just kind of monitor how dark they're getting because they can easily burn. And this just shows that even though I consider myself pretty good at baking, everyone makes mistakes and everyone kind of has mess ups. So I hope that your cookies turn out better than mine, and I would love to see pictures of them when they're done.